So I found the 70 to 200. And what I'm doing is I framed it with a 200 millimeter on the zoom lens and going through the f-stops from f2.8 through to f32, and check out the difference in the depth of field and what effect it has on the image, and how you can use the depth of field to emphasize a particular zone of the image and alter the feel of it as well. Really is quite dynamic what you can do with depth of field. Is a fantastic tool that you can use for many reasons. It brings in the focus to a particular area of the image. It really is powerful. Fantastic. So let's have a look. I'll put these shots up. Let's have a look at all the differences, and I'll go through the major stops. And this is it with the 70mm to 200mm zoom f2.8, the Canon lens, on a Canon 90D, just for your own information. And maybe in another video, I'll do the different focal lengths as well. I'll do more of the focal length choices.
So let's go through them from f32, where we're going to get the most depth of field, right through to f2.8, the most shallow depth of field. And we'll quickly go through them, and then we'll highlight a couple of key different f-stops where it makes the biggest difference.
So here's the two photographs at both ends of the equation, f32 and f2.8. See how the f32, obviously we've got the sharpness throughout the image, which makes a much more graphic image, if you like. It's much more about the alignment, whereas the f2.8 is sort of dragging your eye in. I focused behind the seat to try and make my point even further, that your eye was dragged beyond the seat. In hindsight, I'm not quite sure whether that was the best idea. It kind of worked. The idea was to see how powerful the depth of field focus is by taking your eye beyond the obvious seat. It kind of works. In hindsight, I probably would have refocused on the seat. I'm not sure whether that's quite worked, but you certainly see the principles that one's giving you the sharpness throughout, and the other is creating a different feel to the image. It is dragging your eye beyond the foreground tree, leads your eye into it. Now, there's more things in play, but before we get there, let's have a look at one in between. Now, this one's the f11, and f32 takes you all the way through with sharpness. The f2.8 gives you that the shallowest depth of field. And here we are at f11 in the middle. It's giving us the softness at the tree at the front, so it's bringing our eye in, but it's giving us our greater field, the greater depth of field. So the chair in this case is in focus, so is the tree at the back where the main focus was at. However, there are more things in play at the same time, but with a 200mm perspective from this distance, these are the results that you get, and obviously everything in between.
Now, so far we've seen how changing the aperture affects the depth of field, but there's other things in play, and it's not just the f-stops that affects the depth of field. There are two other big players. You've got your focal length, and also how close the distance you are from the subject. Both those other things. So it's like a triangle, if you like. You talk about the exposure triangle. Well, this is your depth of field triangle, where you've got the f-stop, you've got your focal length, and the distance that you are from the subject. All these things play an effect, a big part in how your depth of field will look and how much depth of field or how little depth of field that you do have. So as an example, taken from the exact same distance, here is the 100 millimeter perspective at 2.8 versus the 200 millimeter perspective at 2.8. See the difference. There is more depth of field with the 100 versus the 200. So when you're thinking about depth of field, just remember it is the combo of those three things: aperture, focal length, and distance. And changing any one of those can dramatically change your photo, can dramatically change your depth of field. So if you want more blur in your photographs, it's not just about altering your aperture. You can alter the distance that you are from your subject, and also you can alter the lens that you're using. As an example, the 200 millimeter at f4 can blur way more than a 35 millimeter at f2.8. I hope this example and the tips that I shared today were helpful. And if you're interested in long exposure photography, I've put together a free 5-day email series. Just click the link in the description. It'll take you to this sign up page. The one that's on the screen at the moment, that's what it looks like. That the link in the description will take you to that page. And if you'd like more videos like this, feel free to like, to subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss anything that's new. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.